Yo everybody, this is Heat Override and I'm ready to bring the pain for you this week with my top 10 Star Wars films. Ooh yeah! Yeah, I know there's only 10 right now, but hey, guess what? I've been a long time Star Wars dude. My dad never really got me into it. So without further ado, let's bring in the beat and kick it up.
Come back to you.
Woo! Yo, everybody, it's been a minute since the last time I kind of came through. I want to introduce my co-host today, the person who goes to all the Star Wars movies, all the Avenger movies, aka pretty much all the movies, Minnie Override. What up, Minnie?
Hello.
Hello? Gotta come a little harder than that. You gotta be like, hello!
Hello.
Alright, so this is gonna be in order from 10 to 1, and it's going to be by my opinion, of course. Minnie's going to weigh in, and then a little bit after this, we're going to talk about Star Wars Battlefront 2, because we play that a lot. We also played Part 1. And then I just want to dab into a couple video games. I don't want to get this too long, but I also want to keep the meat and potatoes cooked. So anyway, how was your day today, Minnie?
Good.
Yeah? School's a little hectic from what I heard.
Yeah.
But, how do you feel about Star Wars? What do you like about Star Wars?
I like that, you get to play with other people and you get to, play in, different games in there, and it's really fun.
Yeah. So she must be already wanting to talk about the video game section. And as a good intro, we can do something like that. But what I want to talk about is Star Wars. Me and Minnie go to a lot of places dressed as Star Wars characters. Most notably is the baseball field, right?
Yeah.
It's really fun. They always get these cosplay people to come up. And when they come up, they do their little thing, walk around. Always got to hide Vader because it's super hot. And Vader's costume apparently is really, really hot. I know you love Vader, right?
Yeah, I always try to find him every time, but he's never there.
Yeah, he's hiding in the air conditioning. I mean, I don't even know if that was required, as maybe that's why Vader was always somewhere else. He just needed air conditioning. Anyway, yeah, the whole point is that we love Star Wars like so many other people. It captivates us. Other things captivate us too, like the Avengers, like I had brought up earlier, but at the same time, Star Wars always holds that together. A lot of other franchises try to do what Star Wars did, which is make all of their characters relatable. Sometimes characters aren't relatable. Side note, I can relate to Thanos. I understand his theory, but it is a little messed up. Back to Star Wars, of course. It's always been there. And when I go and leave my Star Wars story on the Rebel Watch podcast forum, it'll be a little different about what gets into me, how I figured out Star Wars on my own. Because like I said, my dad was always into Chuck Norris movies, which is good. I watched that. And he was into a lot of that stuff. So I took a little bit of that, but I had to go outside of myself, outside of what my family watched, to find myself. What do you think, Molly? What got you into Star Wars?
You had me play it, and I just loved it ever since.
So, I think it just brings it together. But let's save that for the end, because I am going to do things that make me a jerk, but it's going to be things that make Star Wars fans a jerk from other fandoms. I want to do a separation of kind of things that we're not really the jerk, but people always try to approach us with their Captain Kirks and their little things. But Star Wars ain't all about that, man. The universe is so diverse, and each character is so defined, and that is the difference. I know we know Spock, but everybody was a freaking stooge. They were all they had sticks up their ass. And I'm sorry, Trekkies. I watched Star Trek 2, for the record. That's what I did. I watched Star Wars. I watched Star Trek. I grew up to Knight Rider. I love MacGyver. So, that being said, when I give this top 10, I give it from my point of view because I am a rocker. We love Kiss and some EDM, right?
Yeah.
Ah, yeah. So who we been into recently with electronic music?
Avicii.
Yeah, we decided to go back into Avicii's music, which is really, really inspiring and uplifting. If you've never had a chance to listen to his music or the words that these singers put it forth with him, then you really need to. Dude's awesome. But anyway, so I said let's get right to it. The top 10 Star Wars from Heat Override. Oh, yeah! On a side note, Mini Override, even though watching all the movies multiple times, doesn't really remember everything because I've been showing them to her for a very long time, and she was kind of young. So she's 7 now, but we're going to start off with my number 10, which was probably a lot of people's number 10, unless you like love, and that's Attack of the Clones. Attack of the Clones is my number 10. Now, this is episode 2, Molly.
Oh.
This is where Yoda first fights Count Dooku. Do you remember?
Kind of.
You sound like you need to watch more Star Wars films. Anyway, why this one's my 10 is because even though we did finally get to see Yoda fight, which was amazing and fun, and the crowd was laughing. When I went to the opening day for this and that happened, everybody was just waiting for it. Everybody always wanted to see Yoda fight. What is his fight style? We saw his fight style in Attack of the Clones. And I couldn't put it higher than that just because, there were some great fights. And it gets that one point right before they go on that, the final finale. It just drags it down, And I know that we had to show the sides with Anakin and Padme. What do you think?
A lot.
You think a lot?
Yeah.
Apparently this one's a little gun shy, so we're going to refrain. You got to wake up.
I don't know what to say.
Well, you got to remember. That's why we do podcasts. And that's why everything I do is raw. So there's no script. I write things on a piece of paper and we go completely off. So anyway, that's why it's my last place for now. Number 9, Phantom Menace. When it came out, we all know we went back to Phantom Menace. It was like, hey, let's go see Phantom Menace. And saw it multiple times even. Darth Maul definitely was the character that stuck out from this. I know Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan and all that stuff, but it was Darth Maul. This was Darth Maul, man. And what I really liked about the fact, too, is it took 2 of them to really take him down. But as Obi-Wan has been referred to as like a peacekeeper, kind of, like he always has to do his duty, I think he didn't really feel he had to do his duty in that fight until he saw Qui-Gon go down. Yeah.
Yeah, didn't he get cut in half in that?
Yes, he did. But we all know that he came back also, Darth Maul. So, that was an excellent end to Solo, which we will get into.
Yeah.
But yeah, I loved the pod race. Like, I loved it. Like, I know it was cheesy, but for me, I look at movies and I judge each movie to itself. So within that, you find the good in all these movies, and it was really good to see that. Let's move on. Number 8, A New Hope. Yes. I mean, this is Luke. You first get to meet him. You get to see his flaws. And Leia. What do you think, Molly?
I thought it was really cool because we got to meet Leia and Luke.
Okay, that's awesome. And another thing it started the whole thing for a lot of people. Like, this was it. This is how Star Wars was going to introduce itself into the masses. And for me, it's number 8 just because at times I think it still has that dated feel, which is good. But it does have a nice little drag, and you get that kind of right there when Obi-Wan gets slain, or disappears, or however you want to put it, becomes one with the Force. Oh, yeah! It's And then there's like that dull moment after that, and it's and then it gets the big work up, and then you kind of get the whole thing. I think they could have probably cut out some of the scenes loading up the fighters. I mean, come on. But overall, I will never, ever disrespect that movie. It was awesome. It gets a number 8. Number 7, Force Awakens. I mean, ironically, it is 7, but it's 7 for me because of what the other movies after this mean. What does Force Awakens mean to you, Molly?
I haven't seen it in a while.
Yeah?
Wait, didn't Darth Vader come in that? No.
You are totally off on this one. I think you've been sipping too much of the Kool-Aid, as they would say. No, this is our introduction into Rey. You know, our first introduction to Kylo. It was great. It was sad to see Han die. And, you know, if you're a Legends reader and you do a lot of the reading... Yes?
Yeah, now I remember, because wait, no.
This one. She's trying to bog down the podcast. She's with her craziness. She's usually better than this, but apparently she's just not versed anymore. A little too much Rainbow Dash and JoJo Siwa. Oh, yeah, uh-huh. So anyway, back to The Force Awakens. It's a great restart. You know, the comparisons that were made with A New Hope, which is why they're kind of ironically next to each other, if you want to say that. But for me, I didn't see it. I loved it. I loved everything about the flick. You know, getting introduced to Finn. There's so much things into it. The whole thing. It was just a fun ride. Even at the beginning when Rey first got in the Millennium Falcon. And, I mean, she was going. That was great. I loved the way it was set up. It was nice. Intro at the beginning. Of course, we had Kylo right off the go, Finn, and then you had Rey, and then you had that nice chase scene, and it kind of just led right into the whole Chewbacca and Han Solo stuff. So for me, that's slide 7. Number 6, Revenge of the Sith. In my opinion, I gotta say this is the best lightsaber fight. I know that we have not, I mean, everything I've seen, there's so many great moments in every Star Wars film. This was it. This for me, and even at the beginning, like, I got a question, like, this ain't even a question. How the hell does a piece of structure fall on Obi-Wan, push him backwards, and does not kill him or break legs? I mean, come on, man. And, of course, this whole scene leads to Anakin finally besting Dooku and doing what the Emperor wants to do. That is really it. That point right there, he took a command. And that set the whole tone of the movie, in my opinion. I love the way this one was put together, though. And the whole climatic lead up to the final fight, you know, the whole exchange between Anakin and Obi-Wan. It was him doing his duty, and the rage piling over in Anakin. Finally, he just had to just have it his way. And in my opinion, Anakin was always a little overpowered, but I think ultimately he just wanted to learn a lot about the Force. He wanted to know the Force. He wanted to use the Force. And there just became a lot of intangibles with it. So, my number 6, Revenge of the Sith. Number 5, The Last Jedi. I love this movie. We got to see Luke in a movie, and it had been a while. So, for me, I loved the whole training, and him using the Force projection. That was great. Because in the other Star Wars films, at this point, they never really did anything outside of that. And if you're a book reader, so you know there's a lot more other powers and possess everything. But they never really did that until this point, and you really got it. And it happened at the end of the movie. What did you think about Last Jedi, Molly?
I thought it was really cool.
Yeah? Do you understand why Luke disappeared at the end?
No.
No. That's always been a weird thing, how some of the Jedi/Sith kind of die, and then other people just disappear. So, who knows? But for me, I always took it as the Force became greater and just takes them. Like, kind of like if you believe in Christianity or whatever, and how, like, God would come down and take people. That's what I took that as, is that the Force did that. So, for me, I loved The Last Jedi. I liked Rey's darker outfit. Maybe that's setting up something for the next movie. You don't know. But it was definitely a nice bleed into. All right, let's move on to number 4, Rogue One. Rogue One is number 4 for a reason. 1, the movie was put together great. I love the introduction of new characters, and I love Donnie Yen. I love Donnie Yen. I'm a huge Jet Li fan, too. So, you know, when these guys fight each other in movies or team up, that's my dudes. But I really loved Rogue One. I thought the end, you know, knowing that was a suicide mission, Jin coming through like that was really, really good. Did you like Rogue One?
Yeah.
It was cool. All right. Let's move on to my number 3 film of all time. Dun, dun, dun! Solo! This movie had to be made because all anybody ever wanted to know was what the hell was the Kessel Run. And we got it. And we got every moment of it. Everything. Like, you got the Outer Rim. You got so much out of Solo. And you got to see how he and Chewbacca met. And you got to see how savage and what had happened to Chewbacca after the original films. And it opened up so much more because at the end, of course, spoiler alert, you see Darth Maul. And you see his legs. And that right there, it just knocked it out of the park. I didn't expect that. I mean, I knew Darth Maul had lived that slice, but at the same time, like, seriously, that just got me. And, you know, you do that with D-Box, and you get all the chairs moving, you're really into the movie itself. It's just an amazing, amazing movie. I thought it was awesome. I loved everything about it. If you feel otherwise, comment below. Number 2, The Empire Strikes Back.
And that's my favorite movie.
It's a lot of people's favorite movie. Luke, I am your father. Like, no!
No!
It just, the whole thing, the whole workup, it finally took it together. You had the training with Yoda. And then the funniest thing about the whole Yoda thing is if you go and you get that Seagulls video. Oh man, gotta love it. And you know, that was filmed in a lot of the Empire Strikes Back and the Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, it's bad lip reading. Yeah,
bad lip reading. If you have never seen bad lip reading, go check it out and go find Seagulls. It is literally freaking hilarious.
Yeah.
So, you know, Empire Strikes Back did it all. Again, fights. The Empire wins. People are looking. Londo's all up in it. You got Billy D. It did it all. You got the betrayal of him. Him coming through in the end. That weird assistant to him. That weird guy. The freaking weird head. And always like, whatever. And now, it just worked it out, man. And you see Han go down. And it left so much wide open. It was the perfect middle movie of any series you could ever want. It is amazing, like, how it was put together. And this is why it's so many people's number 1. But it couldn't beat my number 1, which is Return of the Jedi. Why Return of the Jedi is my number 1 is because I'm a Luke fan. I love Luke. After reading a lot of Luke novels and about Luke and seeing the powers and hearing him talk, that's who he is. The way he did Vader at the end, Luke always was diplomatic. Even in the Fate of the Jedi series, he gave them so many chances. And he put himself in in bad situation after bad situation, if you have never caught the Fate of the Jedi series, go read that, go audiobook that, go whatever you need to do and get it. It's amazing. Abeloth is just strikingly cruel, but such a massively awesome villain. You get actually where the Force comes through the Celestials and the way they explain things. And then you kind of get where all the Lost Jedi go in the river. It's so awesome. And it all comes back to Luke Skywalker, Starkiller, whatever you want to call him. He's the man. And he became the man by always besting. He was always cool, calm-hearted. He never confronted. Which, that little scene in the whole Last Jedi of like him really killing or trying to kill Kylo, I get that way his explanation was of that. But for me, that's why Last Jedi hit where it's at. Like, Luke, by nature, really never was a killer straight up other than when he was Starkiller. He more so always diplomatically talked his way out of situations or sword fights. And most of the time when he did fight, he usually was badass. He used moves. He had a lot of moves that a lot of people never really used. You know, and the whole flow walks from that series, it just, there's so much to it. And that is why Return of the Jedi is my number one. It's about Luke. It's about Luke overcoming the dark side and turning his father, Darth Vader, against the Emperor. It's about good finally defeating evil. It's about everything. It sets everything up, and that is why Return of the Jedi is my number one. What do you think, Molly?
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
Yeah. And you could tell Luke was kind of becoming the master or more powerful than Vader in that fight because he did channel a little of his dark side, but as another podcast was talking about recently, that was kind of always him. Like, that's always what the Skywalkers did. So I'll quote them on that. Thank you, Rebel Watch. And it made my mind think up. And that's what he did, is he did all these things for these people. And if you read these series, you'll understand that. So that's it. That's my top 10 Star Wars. I hope all of you liked it. I hope, if you guys disagree, hey, comment below. Let me know. Let's do it. So with that being said, I want to get into Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Woo!
What do you like about Battlefront 2, Molly?
It's so awesome, and they keep on adding new characters. They have Anakin. They have a bunch of new characters now.
Yeah. Anakin's a little overpowered, man.
They also have Obi-Wan.
Count Dooku. And mostly everybody knows who's in that game that's listening to this podcast.
Yeah.
But, Battlefront 2, I even go back to, like, the old games I used to play in the arcades. I really loved the GameCube when they came out with Rogue Squadron, I think it was. That was really awesome. And then, I really liked Shadows of the Empire for the Super Nintendo. And then it was about the story. So, like, the story of the Shadow of the Empire was, like, I'm pretty sure it was between Empire Strikes Back and Return. So that was kind of a cool thing I liked about that. I did like Battlefront 2's single-player mode with Iden Versio. Versio's pretty badass.
Yeah, that was really cool.
And, when you go off of other Star Wars, like, I even love for the Super Nintendo, the Super Star Wars, Super Empire Strikes Back, and Super Return of the Jedi. I still have those to this day. I loved them. It was cheesy, it was fun, but man, through the games, you would, like, start out in, like, Star Wars 1, to get through the game a little easier, you could use, like, Chewie, Han, they did things. And even when you were Luke and you had the lightsaber, you would still find yourself using your blaster. As the game went on and you finally got to Return, it was just Luke, because Luke was so strong. And that is why, Star Wars games, Star Wars movies, it all relates. It's a good game. I mean, Jedi Power Battles, man, that game had some cheesy little concepts, like you could fall off pits and stuff. But I will tell you this, Jedi Power Battles is a fun game. I love the progression system that they have in it. You get so many points. You can pick new combinations. I thought that was cool to me. And those are why I like Star Wars games. And plus, I love Battlefront 2. If you go check my YouTube channel at Heat Override, I have a bunch of videos of me just axing people away with all of them.
Actually, there's always a funny part in one. When he's Han, he blows people up all the time.
Yeah, I throw the bomb from like other parts of the board, and I always seem to just get killed. For years in games, going back to GoldenEye, I could take that rocket launcher and bounce grenades down them halls. You'd always get blasted.
Yeah, one time I was watching him play, there was a cliff and he couldn't see, and then he just threw a bomb, and he didn't know if anyone was there, and then he blew it up. There was somebody there.
There's always somebody at the end of my Han bomb. Ooh yeah, bring the pain. So that being said, we'll tag into that. I love Vader, and that I'm really, really good with Vader. I'm trying to get a lot of Anakin. I'm good with him too. Rey, I'm a beast with. I'm pretty much good with everybody, but if it comes down to my one-on-one, I think Vader's my best character.
Rey's my best character because I play her all the time, literally, and she's our literally maximum level, including Kylo too.
Yeah, Kylo's cool too, and they just tweaked him a little bit. They did some tweaks. So that was real fun. I want to get into this. We're almost near the 30-minute mark here in a few minutes, so I want to get into things that make Star Wars fans a jerk to the other fandoms. Oh, yeah! And I'll represent every Star Wars fan. For anybody that hasn't listened to an episode of mine yet, I do a thing called Things That Make Me a Jerk. So not necessarily are we the jerk. We get put in situations by maybe Trekkies or other people of other factions, and they always want to go, well, what makes Star Wars so much better? Well, number one, lightsabers!
Oh, those are so fun.
You don't even got it. The whole films, lightsabers, Clone Wars, lightsabers, Rebels, lightsabers. If you get a fully action audiobook, man, you get lightsabers and blasters, and it is fun. Check out them audiobooks that are full action, man. They are freaking nuts. It's like a movie. But yeah, lightsabers, man. I don't care if that's a cheap cop-out. I don't care about your little stun rays. I don't care about if you're a blue person. I don't care anything about that. I just know if I have a lightsaber and I'm a Jedi, I'm going to get you. Oh, yeah. Number two, the characters. So when anybody ever says, well, Star Wars sucks, characters are lame. Bullshit. Look, these characters are awesome, and I think that's why Star Wars is amazing. Even the bad guys, you love them. Good guys, you love them. You love everybody in the movie, except maybe Jar Jar. He was an idiot, but whatever.
Funny.
He is funny. And I didn't talk a little bit about Jar Jar in the earlier movies, but sometimes Jar Jar added the bright spots. He was funny. He made comments. I find funny shit out of dumb shit in movies, so whatever. But the characters are deep. See, I take Luke. This guy takes Vader. This person takes Rey. This person takes Kylo. This person likes Boba. This person likes Jango. This person likes Obi. This person likes Dooku. Do you see the point? That's what Star Wars does. I don't care if they're Spock. I don't care if they're Scotty. I don't care anything else. Like Lord of the Rings. I don't care. I ain't seen it. I'm not going to see it. Because I just ain't got time for that. I got time for more Star Wars. Oh, yeah. And that's why our characters are always better. Which leads to number 3, the immense story. We are all living this immense story of Star Wars that was started so long ago. It is an amazing story, whether you stick to only the movies, whether you stick to the legends. And for me, legends really relates. I love Ben Skywalker. I loved him in the Fate of the Jedi series. I knew he could be so much more. He missed out on his training because of Jason, but he had so much of Jason. He knew so much, and he was even able to pull off the flow walk. So the whole thing is that Star Wars is so deep. You know, the Yuuzhan Vong War. You could go on to just the regular series. You could go on to the little spoofs that they made off of the series. The little I Can't Be a Yoda or whatever that crap it is. I'm not going to read those ones. Just, I guess I'm elitist in that. But as in, like, the books that I've read, which are the Clone Wars, all of the Fate of the Jedis, I did the Force Unleashed series with that. That series is just badass. You know, and, you know, me and Molly, when we went out to the SeaWorlds just this last year, I was Galen Merrick. Hardly anybody knew me. Even the Star Wars people were confused. I went upstairs. This dude knew his shit, Nick. He goes, "You're Galen Merrick, Starkiller, aren't you?" I was like, "Yup." And that's what Star Wars fandom does. What's up, Molly?
Some people got him right.
Some. But
A lot of people knew me because I was Ray.
Yeah. And I make all of our costumes handmade. I just go out. That's what I do. I make it because I think that when you do Star Wars and you really care about it that much, you don't go buy a cheap plastic mask, do you, Molly?
No, we actually use like cardboard or like other things.
Leather.
And we used fabric for the Ray costume and for Daddy's costume.
That's right. And this is what Star Wars does. It is an immense story that makes people like us involved in it and want to be it. So, yeah, I'm sitting here cosplaying the 501st Legion, you know, in the middle of a baseball game. Well, a ball could hit us. We don't care. Me and Dude are going head-to-head with lightsaber battles, jumping around. But I had an advantage this year. I had 2 of them. Yeah. And that's what it is, the story. No matter what way you go, you will always love every Star Wars story that is ever told. Mic drop. Number 4 for the very last thing. It's Star Wars. It's just cooler. And that lets me know that there always will be a galaxy far, far away. Ooh! Yeah! I hope all of you enjoyed the podcast. You guys have a great night. Look for my next one. Hey, like, follow, share, do what you want. Me, hit it up.
Woo!